Hey everybody, BTO Pro here, and today I've lost my mind. So I started making some new elements that are site-specific in the theme layer. It abstracts away all the state so that, for example, if you want breadcrumbs, you just use this tag, and the tag itself is doing all the state management. Then you want to style it. We've got CSS variables, and you can manipulate it from there. So it's dramatically simplifying theming in HAXcms, and increasing readability, all that good stuff, right? Because I know semantically as a designer, hey, that's site breadcrumb, and then I can style and inject CSS variables into site breadcrumb. Okay, cool. So I made one that I thought could be done, but I honestly thought it would take a lot longer to do. So let's look at what the dev theme does currently. So this is the dev theme. Let me make sure that there we go, have to be at the home page, so to speak. So this is our developer testbed theme. You can see it just has, like next, previous buttons. It's hideous. That's the whole point, right? Is just to showcase the different elements there are, right? So there's that menu before, and it does the auto scrolling, and here's where the content is, here's what's in the manifest, all that good stuff. So on here I had this grid of cards, and the grid of cards is like this. It's using a tag called iron list, and you need to understand that there are items in the list, and then I display them as a grid, and I have a tab event. So I just made a new site tag called site query, and site query allows you to do some rather interesting things. So let's rewrite this as a site query based on an example I just put together. So the site query, you say sort, and then you put in your sort criteria. So I'm going to sort by title, and my conditions are going to be that the parent is null, meaning that the item in question doesn't have a parent. So that should just give me the top level items that I'm looking for. In between, these template tags are required. Then in between the template tags, I'm just going to write as if I'm creating one item. So let's take this material that was previously in here. We're going to get rid of most of this. All right, so let's paste in here. Okay. So all I've done is I've removed the iron list tag, right? Because you would need to know what the heck an iron list is. Let's make sure that we still have some of these values on here. I may actually be using those, I'm not positive. Okay, so query, and on tap, yeah, there's a grid. I don't actually think that's even needed, to be perfectly honest. So let's, oh yeah, I know why I'm doing that though. Okay, so we've got that in place. Let's now make sure that we've included that element. So you include query. All right. And you can see as another interesting part of this through abstraction, I'm not actually using anything related to our store. So let's get rid of that. The dev theme now doesn't have any state management concept in it. All the elements in it do. And as you can see, here is just the top level items. Now I do need to do grid because there is some incredibly minimalist styling associated with iron list. So let's just do grid, and type is Boolean, value is false by default, and this is just the iron list helper for this one flag. Okay. So then I'm going to take grid, and we're going to put it in grid equals, oops, grid. So we'll do data binding there. And now when I pass grid down, it presents my items as a grid. More importantly though, this is now just the top level items. So I just did a query and a render against the data living in the manifest of the site. So this is effectively using JSON outline schema now to do querying on the fly. This is pretty stinking exciting. So if you're familiar with like Drupal views. This is more or less doing pieces of what that is. Like, this is the foundational piece to what that does, but on the front end. Yes, there are some other front end things that have this. Jekyll has a query capability, but now we do too. So I could go into the dev theme again. Let's build another one, shall we? Another query. So I'm going to build this query. I'm not going to do this item tapped thing. I don't need that. Let's see if list is even implemented anywhere. Iron. Oh, see, so iron list was called here. So I could do some styling pass down. This is something I have been doing quite frequently with the other themes. So this would now be site query. And then in here, I would make like a site query iron list. And this is a Polymer specific convention, but it's incredibly useful until some of the shadow partial styling catches up. So, all right, so we've got that, and now I go into my site query and into here. We'll do whoops style, and then we'll do host display block, sure. And then we'll do iron list, apply that CSS variable, and now it'll allow things up above this to style that appropriately. So now in the dev theme, passing that padding and margin and things in there, and now that'll propagate down. Paper card should style it. I think it might not. Let's do like something absurd. Let's do like black background blue. It's a good test of what's going on with that. I don't think we actually even use the fact that this has an ID of list, so let's get rid of that. And then this one, I'm not going to do as a grid, so I'm going to do a template tag, and then down in this one, in the site query, let's do ID. Let's do that card list as the ID. Actually, we could just do it as a class. It's not a big deal. And then we'll do site query dot card list, because I only want to influence that one, not this other additional one that I'm making. So I can write whatever the heck I want in here. So let's say I wanted to make a list of top level menu links. So top level menu links, that's parent is null. Let's take away the condition on this one. And so this one is just going to give us all of our items. Let's do sorted by order on that one. And this one will be sorted by title, descending with no parent. And then we're going to do item.location. And in here, we're going to do item.title. And maybe we'll even do, we'll do item.order, period, space. So let's see what that looks like. So let's open this up in Chrome, refresh. And there we have all of the things that I wanted to just illustrate. Oh, this is getting too easy. Okay, so these items are in descending alphabetical order, right? So there's the numbers come before letters, and then C, H, moving up. But you see they're out of order. That's why I put the order there. The order property inside of JSON outline schema helps dictate, the order that they're in, so that you don't have to rely upon alphabetical order. So let's move that over to ascending order. There we go. Now we flip that around. Theming is so hard. So I could do location ascending. I mean, that doesn't make a whole ton of sense, but I could do anything that's in that data object. Is what's so incredibly powerful about what this provides. So because everything that gets created in here is JSON outline schema. Let's see if we can even, oh good, we did have that tab open. So here's additional information down here in items as to what I could filter on. So if I went down in here, I could do title, I could look into the metadata, and we could even do like created, right? So we could order things by the date they were created, or order things by whether or not they have files. So let's do ordering things by the date updated. Let's copy that property path. Okay, well, I know what the property path is. But so the sort order for these is going to be metadata dot updated. And now we should get our items based on when they were last updated. And sure enough, they happen to be in the actual sort order. Why? Well, because when I created this dev space, I just hammered through them really fast. We could do created. Let's see if that changes it in any way. Nope, still in the same order there. Let's look at, let's tap on one of these again, and then inspect. So there's an object that bubbles up when you tap it. Okay, so let's see what's another thing that we could order on. Access date, created, updated. Yeah, won't do anything there. So I could do indent as well, but that doesn't make as much sense. But or description, which is sort of a way of saying the text inside of it. So order by description, get rid of the condition there, and paste. All right, now we've got this list. Let's try to do some kind of like wildcard condition. Let's do active. Let's do parent, and then I'm going to make up something because this is not a valid parent name. So let's do like $ active item. And so this won't interpret in any way. We're going to write the logic for it right now. So now I could go into my site query, because that's kind of an advanced one. If you were in Drupal, this would be like some kind of argument, if you will, that you're passing through. So then I'm not going to do it in sort. It would be under conditions. So filter where these are such, but let's do a very specialized condition. If, active ID, so let's make sure that it's ID and not item. That has a different implication. So let's do if conditions sub I equals, and then it's going to have to equal active ID, spelled just like that. Then what we want to do is we want to do a different test. All right, so we'll put in a special case for just this flag, because this is one of those state management driven things. So if it's a specialized condition, specialized condition for active ID. We like to pass around the active ID in HAXcms as opposed to the active object itself. Now we're going to pull this into scope of here. So there's active ID, just like that. Hey, go give me the active ID. We're not going to do this object assignment thing. So we're getting the active ID, bring it in locally, and that is all it takes to wire up to MobX, which is pretty awesome. Loving the experience of the MobX. Potter made an amazing decision in selecting that. So type, and that is a string. Okay, so active ID, and now if it's active ID, then instead of the condition being that, do this dot active ID. Okay, so now it should be saying if we pass in the specialized condition, and the specialized condition has to be named that specific thing. So we're saying if the parent is the active ID, then that should be our filter criteria, and let's do order ascending. Okay, so we've got order ascending. Let's take this sort off on that grid so we can see the difference between these two. Let's see if that worked. I don't honestly know if it will. Let's see. Oh, there's nothing showing, but there's no error. Yay, that's always a good sign. So I'm gonna move through here. You think we would have had new data or something with children at this point. All right, it's kind of hard to find something. Let's find, all right, so what should have active data associated with it, but it didn't just pull anything out of that listing. Okay, so let's get, let's look, maybe I can't do dollars. Well, maybe I can't. Let's see. So let's go into site query, and we'll see console.log. So let's see if we even get there before we do anything else, because this is going to do a filter. Okay, so it does get there. Nice. Okay, and then we're going to see console.log the active ID. No, active ID is not defined. Let's do this and see what we have access to under this. It's the whole site query object. Okay. You know what? We should also make sure that when active ID changes, we reprocess this. So we can do with computed variables in Polymer. Do there, and let's move these around. It should be like conditions. There we go. Sort. Let's make sure we have them in the right order. All right. Sorts is what I call this one. This one's real items. Active ID can then be active ID instead of this, because it's been brought in. Okay. Well, let's still console log that, see if that helps at all with getting that state down correctly. Hey, it showed up. That's a good sign. We still don't. Oh, there we go. There it is. If I go to home, there's the two items that are under home. If I unset, so there's no active, notice it didn't change anything because nothing's active. But now as I go through these, that element is dynamically rendering the children of whatever you're on actively. This is nuts. Oh man. Okay. So now, you know, in a 17-minute video where that didn't even exist a second ago, I can write this incredibly small, highly readable thing and know that I'm going to get stuff in the correct order and with the correct conditions. I mean, I could just do ID equals active item in this case, refresh, and then I should just always get, yep, I'll get the exact item in question. And I don't know why you would want to do that, but well, I guess for this data over here, I could even do it for that. So now I could start wiring site query into the other things that are on here, right? Because like breadcrumb, for example, breadcrumb does a whole bunch of stuff associated with active item changed whenever the active item has been manipulated, because it needs the whole active item object to parse through it and figure out, you know, walk back through parent tree and do this building stuff. So I'm not going to necessarily do that at the moment, but I could start to now wire this, you know, site query tag up to all of the other tags that we're building out in order to properly, well, simplify things, right? Start to even take the state management out of some of the stuff that's abstracted it. So imagine with this, you'll be able to very easily construct like a top menu items, for example. Like if I wanted a top bar on my website that just had all of the high level items, I could pretty easily go in here, go to the top of the website, and then I could say, give me those items, do it as a grid, so they'll be in order. sort them based on, well, they should be based on order. And then where parent is null, whoops, null, okay. And now if I did like LIs here for list items, here's my top level links. Granted, I obviously have to style these, but now I have just created a top level menu that is dynamic relative to what's in that setup. So I'm going to be able to very easily start to add in like latest blog post, right? Or like much more dynamic blocks and really not even need to templatize them, right? Because we can just wrap this query on anything. That's the beauty of the way this is set up. It's going to pump that data correctly through whatever's inside of it here. So I wanted you all to see this because this is kind of a big deal as far as how easy it's going to be to start to theme this and yet pump out rather sophisticated themes and designs.